I've come across men who will like date you for a month and then tell you about their sob story of how all their family have disowned them and they lost their job and this and that because they want to stay with you.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So
Trap-
there's also
trap.
like hobo dating, you know?
This whole thing now where a lot of married people are coming out and saying to single people, yo man, listen, you need to work. It's because we're reacting to this Instagram married lifestyle. We're reacting to this notion that everything is just going to be fun without any work. We're reacting to this thing of thinking that, you know, I want a spouse that's going to tick all of these boxes. And I'm like, you're not dealing with the product here. You're dealing with the real human.
Yeah, like the pressure of like people almost feel like insinuating that we look down on them because of their somewhat lesser status. And I'm like, what? Like who thought of you as lesser?
1, 2, 3, 4.
What's good, beautiful people? Welcome to 2.5 Husbands, where we celebrate becoming better husbands.
It's 2.5, even though there are 3 husbands, and that's because at some point, one of us, if not all of us, was not fully the husband that we were supposed to be.
And that's why we actually come here on a weekly basis to discuss some of the issues that we face, some of the issues we are seeing around us, and we hope that the journey that we started with you and for you is going to benefit you,
And yours.
Dope. What's up?
Have we started?
We have.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to 2.5.
Yes.
Yep.
Was Jay-Z wearing the same thing as you?
Jay-Z?
All the time? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. This is the 2.5 uniform. Orange.
Orange.
It's the one though. I'm going to slim for this.
Come on now. Let's do it. This is a series on singleness because this is the second time we have a... Maybe that's your official title, the friend of the podcast.
Ach, I like
Come
it.
on now.
I can work with that. I thought you were going to say your title is the single person of the podcast. Like, I'm like,
Yeah, that's where I thought it was going.
Yes, I will resolve that one. We're not doing that. We're not doing that one. But we thought there's probably... Obviously, it is a big conversation. And there's probably a lot of other things for us to double tap on, to double click on. I shouldn't do this because it's condescending, ne?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. If you need that for your own...
I knew it was going to go like
Is
this.
this fine? Is this fine?
No, like that's too...
Is it too much?
Yeah, no, that's now. Like,
Maybe let me
borderline.
hold your hand.
No, it's fine.
yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's getting worse.
It's fine.
Okay. So we'll double click
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
on certain things. If you haven't checked out the episode we did with Sune, sorry, your name is Sunny, but I call you
Sonopol.
Swanepoel,
And
Sunel. Anyway, I nearly exposed myself now, but it's fine. So we did an episode where we spoke about singleness broadly and trying to understand or navigate the dynamics between, you know, married people and single people and those friendships. Because that tends to be a very tricky thing.
Yeah.
But we're here now. Tate Maruti, how are you feeling? When last were you singing?
Kale.
What is being single? Is it like...
Not in a relationship.
Not in a relationship.
Yeah.
2009.
Yo.
So,
Just
Like
before.
that should be put
14
on
years, I think.
Ripley's Believe It or Not. Like such relationships in this day and age is like, wow. 6 months is like,
Without a relationship.
no, like in a relationship.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh,
If you
no.
make it past 6 months, it's like, wow, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
We didn't have a choice out of that.
Why is that? Maybe let's even start there.
What is it?
Why is it hard to maintain a relationship nowadays? As a single lady.
I don't know if it's something that is specifically happening now. I think it's always been this way. It's just that now it's online.
Okay.
So it makes it seem as if now things are not working out. But people have been long time ago, you know.
Yes.
people have been unfaithful, people have been cheating in and out of relationships, dating
Yes.
this man. I mean, if you just think about high school, the way people used to date.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a thing whereby, why is it so difficult now? It's been there. But I think, though, social media has impacted quite a lot in terms of expectations.
Sure.
Expectations for who this man should be. We're listening to these short snippets of a man should be like these alpha men. which are
High
out there.
value man.
High value. And I'm just, I always ask myself, as much as you must have a good sense of who you are,
Yeah.
like, what is high value? Because honestly, like,
He needs to be a hotel that can fly. And when we feel like it, he can be a boat. And then sometimes he can transition into a Ferrari on land.
guys.
And then if on a good day, he just happens to be a billionaire as well.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The high value, low value, it's concerning.
Yeah.
I would find it very concerning. But I think I understand what they mean by like being a quality person, somebody who,
Yes.
I don't know, is mature. And
Yes.
Yeah. I think
But they're
that's-
not like quality human.
See, now that's another thing. I would say somebody who maybe doesn't consider other people's thoughts or feelings. Somebody who, I guess is self-centered, doesn't feel they need to be improved in any sort of way. I would. That would be a low value person to me. But then again, you have to consider why are they doing that? It can't just be you just were like that. So when I look at value, I look at, is this somebody that I can have, like, when we are discussing certain things, do they become explosive when we talk about finances?
Sure.
Or when we talk about the fact that women and men are different. You know what I'm saying? That women's hormones work this way and men are like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is this somebody which we can have these discussions with? So a low value person, I suppose, in that sense, would be somebody who is dismissive and just just doesn't participate in life,
Yeah.
Do you feel though that a lot of the guys nowadays, in terms of commitment, so to relationships, whether it's because of trauma that they faced, again, that word trauma, being an overused word in our day and age.
Lexicon.
But what you said, like you can't just become somebody who's not considerate of other people. Normally, it's guys who either have had a bad relationship with their dad or whatever the case may be. Do you feel like, I don't know, some of them that you engage with don't have that tenacity to just stick it out when, like, especially when the relationship gets uncomfortable? That it's almost like there's an easy way out of
But that's the
relationship.
thing. These guys don't want to leave relationships. Like, there'll be a problem in the relationship. Like, they want to stay there and, like, suck the whole life out of you. Abafuna phuma, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it's one of those things that it would be, statements like, and they won't say it like I'm saying it right now, but if I don't have you, then what will I have?
Hey.
That's so like, I don't know, what
Jesus,
did you
my
have
man.
before, And by the way, that's touching on, like, let me just touch on another subject where even in the dating spaces now, I've come across men who will, like, date you for a month and then tell you about their sob story of how all their family have disowned them and they lost their job and this and that because they want to stay with you.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So
Trap-
there's also
trap.
like hobo dating,
Yeah.
where
So he
you are
wants to
dating.
come live with you.
Yeah.
Yo, no, thanks.
Do you get it?
Bye.
No. Oh, so
Yes.
wow.
So now he buys everything for you in the beginning of the relationship
Yeah.
and takes you out. Then you're like,
snap.
woo, woo, hey.
Yeah.
And then he's like, dude, lost my
Yeah.
job. My family doesn't love me.
Hey.
Wada, wada. And these stories are convincing. Guys, people have missed out their calling in South Africa in terms of acting. Because, wow, it's script.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And so now suddenly, as a woman, you're like, okay, you can stay with me for a while. The person lives with you. They take your car. They have their own girlfriends now. And you are taking care of them. So these men don't leave,
Yeah.
They become problematic in the relationship.
Good, it's a career for them.
It's a career for them, you know what I'm saying? And then I think some I really do think that some men want to love their women, but they just don't have the tools. You know what I'm saying? You said something to me, I think 4 years ago, which really hit me and made me think about men differently, where you were like, a lot of men don't have this vocabulary to say what is aching in their bodies and minds and whatever. They don't have that. So you can't communicate something that you can't explain,
Yep.
you know, or you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the reason is I don't think men want to actually leave their wives. And I do think that they actually do love them. They just don't know. So let me just shut down then, you know? And that becomes a problem too.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I was still stuck on that initial question because I do get a sense that and I mean I think you're right that social media has exposed a lot of these things. So there's a lot of things that were happening before. So like people not sticking around in relationships. It's just that we didn't see it, we didn't talk about it. But I'm like, even if we just look at the music, like the R&B we used to listen to, or the R&B that our parents listened to, compared to now,
That is so true.
I always think that stuff is reflective of the times that we live in. You know
I
what
agree.
I mean?
I agree.
Where I'm like, old songs used to speak about, you know, like deep love, staring into each other's
Yep.
eyes, being here, working this thing out. And fast forward to like today, it's just like,
Yeah, no.
tap, 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 tap.
Yeah, no, honestly, like the
Quick. Yeah. Next one.
Yes. No, for real. Like I agree 100% in that sense. Like, everything is like I don't even know what to call it. Like hit and run.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's just, I feel like for some reason it feels like we don't have time. You know what I'm saying? Like even if I'm thinking about just the act of ukshela,
Yes.
a lot of guys don't court anymore. You know, the expectation is we just hook up. Hook up. Nobody wants to be like vulnerable with each other. Not nobody, but like there's a lot
Majority.
of, you know what I'm saying, where you don't want to be vulnerable with the person that you're with. You don't want to get to know them. You sort of want to just see, is this okay? It doesn't taste too well. Okay, no, let me go to the next thing, you know? And I think that comes with social media. Like we don't want to listen to, I guess, with music, bodies of work. We just want that cool clip, this, that, okay, this sounds like, you know what I'm saying? So it could be that too.
So when you say social media, including like things like online dating, like your
I would think-
your
Tinder.
Tinders and all of those.
Tinder, I was on there for like 2 weeks and I left because I was like,
Yeah.
I could say Sodom and Gomorrah. Like, it's like I'm sorry, but it was like, they don't even want to go on a date. They want to visit you at your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It might be
it's
a killer,
wild.
bro.
Exactly, you know? But everything is like microwave vibes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like instant man, instant woman. What do you bring to the table? You know what I'm saying? That thing in dinner. Because it's like, what if I don't? Like, in my career, I'm often unemployed. You know what I'm saying? I'm between... I don't have much to bring to the table in terms of that. You know what I'm saying? Again, because of my stances with Christ, I'm also not bringing any sexual activity. And men will poke. They'll be like, well, how far can we go?
Yeah.
Can we this? Can we that? And I'm like, no poke there, nothing here, no nothing.
No lambs.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes quite a thing. But maybe I also just want to know, like, when you guys started dating your wives, because there was a dating period, even with you and Lily, right?
Yeah.
But like, what were
We
they?
dated because I didn't have a job.
Oh,
What do you mean?
I'm saying we dated because I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
so
explain
if you
that.
had a job,
If
you
you had a
wouldn't
job,
have dated.
you would have-
We would have,
Gotten married.
yeah.
Oh,
So we stayed a year and a half because I had quit my previous gig and I was just waiting for my next gig. But as soon as I got my job, then we got married. But
but were
But you
there
had
any
known each other for quite some time.
yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's because my wife was obviously nervous. I didn't even let you finish your question, but but she was nervous with dating. Period. Not because of me. At least I hope. But she was just, her outlook on life. She even thought like our relationship would last maybe like 5 days or whatever, and then we'd break up. And then she thought our marriage would last for 5 years, and then we'd divorce.
Here we are now.
And then, So, yeah. So I was like, yo, man. When I asked her out, I just asked her to marry me.
Whoa.
And then it took 5 days for her to say yes. Because every day she had like a list of questions that I had to go answer. So I had homework, did my homework, came back. Here are your answers. She's like, okay, we speak the whole day. I'd leave, come back with answers, leave, and then eventually, after 5 days.
You were at work.
Yeah. No.
Said, yes. So, yeah.
What were her reservations at that stage? Like the kind of questions you were answering?
So, around her insecurities, yeah, like, what do I mean by certain things? So if I'm like, I love you, it's like, okay, what do you really mean by that? Right? What if you wake up not feeling how you're feeling now? Then what are we gonna do then? Whatever.
Where are those questions? Can we get a hold of them?
She probably has them. My wife never deletes anything.
I want those questions.
She probably has those things.
When
This
you were
was
talking
an
about a
official
list, maybe
shit.
that's the list I need.
She emailed you the questions
No, I think she normally emails herself stuff.
Oh, okay,
So she
yeah,
probably has them.
to keep it.
That would be crazy if it was an
The
official
terms and
document.
conditions of
She
our
probably did.
agreement. Wow.
She probably did.
Oh, man.
But I think that was a healthy exercise, and that's the stuff again where I'm like, I don't think we've been married. I mean, sure, 10 years, 9 years, we've been married long, but I'm like, it's not really long compared to how long we want to stay alive and be together.
Right.
But
But were there
yet-
any expectations? Like, who's bringing what to the table when you guys were dating back then?
I think big stuff, which we'll get to now.
Okay.
But my thing is, it's just crazy how in 10 years dating has changed so quickly. Because when we were dating, I'm like, yeah, things kind of had changed, but me and maybe my uncle would be talking around the same things.
Right.
How to approach a girl, wanting to get married, whatever. But I'm like, how I speak to a 25-year-old now who's in the dating pool, I'm just like, I'm fine. I don't even know what you're saying, bro. Because then there's certain periods. There's the situationship. I'm like, what? A king situationship? No.
I don't
we're
know.
moving from situationship to vibes.
Yeah.
From vibes ki talking phase.
Yeah.
Talking phase ki we have titles but we're not official. And then I'm like,
It came as
you
change.
met a girl, you spoke to her, you were cool. Yes, we're getting into this thing, and you want to do it for the sake of marriage. That was very clear, right? But it's just crazy how
Things have changed.
in
Yeah.
such a short space of time. 10 years is long, but it's not really that long, So, but maybe to answer and maybe your inputs on how things have changed. But to answer your question, I think for us the big things that we were supposed to bring to the table. It's part like what I said now, that we didn't get married because I didn't have a job. That was the thing. So I'm like, you're the husband, you need to work. And by working, we didn't say that you need to bring 5 million into the house, even if it's 50 cents, but just work, right? It's the head of the house, just work, right? And that's the only reason we stayed unmarried for a year and a half, because I was waiting. I'd done my interview and then was waiting to start.
So it wasn't really about her not working. It was more about you working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what's the question again? The expectations?
Were there expectations that okay, I'll give you some of the terms. What
Yeah.
are you bringing to the table? High value men,
Yeah.
low value people, feminine energy.
Sure.
What is that?
I'm still finding out what feminine energy is.
Masculine energy.
Masculine
What? As in
energy.
that's something to bring to the table. You
Yeah.
have to have.
Like you must be feminine energy, and please, if I'm wrong, guys, correct me.
Yeah.
But it's more like placing yourself in a position where you're more softer, kinder,
Oh, okay.
nurturing,
Okay.
yebo
As
baba
a-
type of
oh, as a
vibes,
woman. Oh, 'cause
and
I
then
thought,
when
no.
you do your feminine energy, then you are more kinder, softer, nurturing
vulnerable.
as a
Vulnerable.
gent, you know,
Okay.
as a gent. So it's like, and then if my masculine energy is up, it means I don't want you to pay for the bill. I'm
Yeah, no,
gonna
that's
cover it.
still. Don't bring that. Even this
So it's
day.
like you have to go down on your
Nah.
feminine energy. I need to go up on my, and then you
Yeah,
know.
just go
So
down
these
on
are things that people are like, what do
Yeah.
you bring to the table? There's the whole thing of I know how to cook as a gent now. I don't need a woman to help me cook and whatever. So you can't just bring like domestics to the table. You know, you must bring more money. All of this. Yeah.
Perhaps we had those things in the back of our heads. But granted, we were dating. Oh, like for me, it was like in my 20s. So.
Oh, I think that's
And that's like, I think that
That's
like
much
things have
better.
changed a little bit. Like if you are in your 30s versus if you're a 10-year-old
True.
dating someone, I think there are different sets of expectations.
100%. Yeah.
I think someone who's 30 should have their lives in order, and if you like at a certain level to say like this is what I've said my not accomplished as such, but direction, a sense of direction. Like even if I've tried and it didn't
Work, right, yeah.
versus I'm still trying to figure out like things. From a guy's point of view, I feel like that at least if you're calling somebody to follow you, you gotta have some direction. But at that stage, I think my expectations of what she brought to the table was, would she be able to like follow my path in terms of career? Like, is she someone who's good with people? Is it someone who can be poor and be
Happy.
yeah, because
Like still
in
nice.
my kind of work, it was like, hey, I might be calling you here to like a very difficult life. Like, are you somebody who's happy with that? Like, are you happy to pursue your own career? I did want somebody who's not a like stay at home kind of mother. Beyond that, I don't think I had expectations. I didn't think she had expectations. She was ready for us to get married as like in my student days, because a lot of the people in my community were doing that.
Whoa.
Like
Sheesh. Like as students getting married.
well, students in the sense that you completed varsity. I mean, we in ministry.
Okay.
Like if you're at a Bible college, you're still a student, so you're depending on other people. So and you're not necessarily in a full-time job. So there were some of our friends who did that.
Okay. Interesting.
And I still remember her saying, "Yeah, like I think we can do that," and I was like, "Heck to the no!" Like,
We're gonna go at
yeah,
our
we'll
pace.
live at our own pace. This is not. That's not us. So I think we were young. The expectations were less. I do feel like the dating game changes the older you grow, and the people that we engage with.
Yeah.
Like most of them are established. So there's no time for. Like we dated for 4 years, and I think now like it's like. You can't do that.
Yeah,
Like, time is flying. If
Yeah.
I'm 30, that's like
I'm not trying to date
then
a
me
person
dating
for 4
until we're
years.
34.
Yeah.
Like that's quite a long time.
But I think it also depends, like what makes sense for you, because
Yeah.
4 years isn't actually a problem for a lot of people. You know, even at the age of 34, people like what I'm trying to say is that marriage is not a big thing for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So people can be in even a situationship for a very long time and be quite satisfied with that. I think that's why I said it's different now when you become Christian, because then dynamics change again.
Yeah.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
No, but there are, I suppose, Christians who do cohabit. Haven't tried. No, like honestly,
It's a reality.
let's be.
We're not advising it, but that's a reality.
That's the reality where, and especially, well, I've seen the pressure from females who are just like, man, there's no guy pursuing me. At this stage, I'm 29. Here's a guy who, not really Christian, but he's been to church, he's okay with this. let's just see where this leads, and then they end up
yeah.
compromising a lot on their values,
Yeah.
and then maybe then there's a kid, and then they like, let's get married. So but for somebody who's trying to keep a celibate life, it is kind of hard to stay like for 4 years in a relationship.
Yeah.
Sure. Speaking of staying for long, we had this chat earlier on, and maybe to expand on it, this idea of singleness equating to loneliness. People would assume, and some people would even say that like if you're single, you're lonely. What would your thoughts be on that? Is that true? Is that a rubbish thing to say?
No, I don't think it's a rubbish thing to say, but I don't think it's also entirely true. And I can say that because I have friends who are married, and they speak of loneliness. You know, you can be in relationships with somebody and still not feel like the person is there. You know, they're absent. But also just in Jay, as a human being, you have lonely moments. You know what I'm saying? Like as a human being. I think though, in terms of being lonely, I think in terms of that department of companionship, romance, having your personal person, I suppose, you know, those things you don't have. And that's why I said that it's something that you want, you know, and it can cause a sense of a void. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that. They almost want to act as if I don't care at all, or I care way too much. Do you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
But these things are, for me, they are coexisting at the same time. There's that sense of, yes, as I said, I am getting older and biological clock and, you know, wanting to have somebody who can account for your life and, you know, somebody who will be with you even when your parents have gone and all of that stuff. That is there, and there's a desperation that does come with that, you know. But there's also the other side of fully living in the life that you have and having community around you and friends who check up on you and people who interact with you and your family. And so you're having a full life, you know. So you're having this full life, and this is also happening here. Do you get what I'm saying? So there are moments of loneliness, yes. There's moments of desperation. There's moments of complete content. You're just content. You actually don't really want anyone at the time. You know, you're fine with what's happening here. And then there are moments where you're just like, God is like angry at me. Like he just hates me.
What do you do in those moments?
Of like,
So when you feel the loneliness and then you like, oh man, life sucks, God hates me. Like I hate every single person who's married.
I put on makeup. No, but really, like all my problems, I put on makeup when I'm sad. Like at 1 a.m. in the morning. Faggy face beat.
Face beat.
Donkey shit.
Oh.
Yeah. Or I avoid the thought. Netflix. But no, what I guess you have to remember what is happening. Like you have to, like sometimes, I think a lot of the time, especially in these things, we think of things like in this one thing. We don't think about it holistically. Like what is happening holistically, not this specific thing. It's like saying that, I don't know how to put it, but because this one thing isn't working, nothing about me is working.
Wow.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Go deeper.
And so I always have to remind
Prophesy,
myself
mama.
that. So I think it's that thing of realizing that this one thing is not your thing.
Sure.
But and everybody has these things. Like a woman who is married but maybe cannot give birth to a child. That's a thing. You know what I'm saying? That the person who's single is not understanding. You know what I'm saying? A man who's in a relationship but married and is impotent. That's another thing which is not spoken about. You know, that's a form of loneliness too, or desperation that can happen and all of that stuff. You know. So I think everybody has their lot, you know, and it's just reminding yourself that this is my lot. It doesn't mean that I'm the only one, first single in the world, to ever go through this, to ever experience this, you know. But somebody who inspires me a lot, like this person, Hannah in the Bible, the way she was
I
so,
was like, Hannah Montana.
you know, Hannah Montana was
What
cool.
is going on?
Hannah from the Bible, just the way she was so like open with God about her feelings.
Yeah.
That this is what I'm feeling, not the let me package it for God and say the nicer parts of my awful feelings.
Sure.
The actual awful feelings. You know what I'm saying? That God, I actually just want now to go into this date with this guy and be in this world where I'm just having a relationship with him. Nothing is going to be godly in this whole thing. And I'm just going. And you just switch off and this is what I'm doing. You know, it's possible. It's happened. I've done that. You know, where you just switch off. And for those moments, it's great. Until it crashes, because it's going to crash. Best believe it's going to crash. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, I love her story because she was vulnerable with God with every single emotion that she was going through. Yeah.
It's dope. Yeah, so I think I was just thinking about developing like bitterness in your singleness, and you know how that plays out. Yeah, because I've seen when that happens, and then how that also hinders people's potential to actually get into a relationship. And I'll speak from a man's perspective, like seeing somebody who's bitter because they're single, you know, tends to make guys run away because it's like, oh, like you come with anger, and it feels like our relationship is just gonna be like a sacrificial lamb for your anger, to appease your anger. So we're actually in a relationship just so that we can soothe your bitterness, and I might be potentially used for that. Yeah. So yeah, and I think it's probably a thing worth chatting about, just how that develops. But how do we get rid of it if it's there? How do we even, help people think through, their own bitterness? And because I don't think it's healthy at all, you know.
It's not healthy.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Who are you asking?
And it's a conversation. I am not Oprah Winfrey. I'm not interviewing you guys.
No, I guess.
Ria Biwa.
Okay, I don't have any thoughts on that.
Okay.
No bitterness.
Bitterness, yeah. What are my thoughts on bitterness? I think when we were talking bitterness, because your question went on to further elaborate. So I have thoughts on people who are bitter, but so like you mentioned earlier on, somebody who perhaps is struggling to have children, or somebody who, like is at a stage where they can't, whatever, like maybe get married or be in a relationship. That very often, so I thought for me the pressure of, for instance, I cannot say, shucks, I'm really finding it hard with my kids because somebody is out there longing for that thing. And I've heard other people in the community saying, stop saying that, because there are people who are like really longing for that. And I'm like, like I'm obviously, my heart goes out to them, but I'm sharing my experience.
True.
Or like I'm really finding it hard in this particular season of marriage, or like I'm really finding it great, like it is fantastic. Like,
But you can't say that.
But I can't say that now.
You're struggling.
Almost like that it becomes about them rather than about me and my experiences, whether it's joy or difficulties that I feel like sometimes I can't bring myself fully to the community, or I'm always it's like, since we got married you don't even check on us, and it's like so what I'm trying to say is that I've been on the receiving end of somewhat, I wouldn't go as far as to call it bitterness, but like a lack of celebration of the things I'm enjoying, the things I'm grappling with.
Sure.
That it becomes like already I'm judged for not being as present like I used to be.
Or being happy.
Or I'm like, you changed since you got married. And I'm like,
I have to change.
That's going to happen.
the reality of it. It means I had, like X amount of time, and then
Yeah.
that has become less now, either with marriage and then when you have kids. It's just you're not as available as you used to, and
Yeah.
it's not because you're looking down on. Like the pressure of like people almost feel like insinuating that we look down on them because of their somewhat lesser status, and I'm like, what? Like who thought of you as lesser? So I think for me, I've been on the receiving end throughout my engagement in like different communities.
I think it goes back to what we're talking about in the last podcast when I was saying that we shouldn't assume things of each other.
Yes.
Like singles shouldn't assume things of married people, and married people shouldn't assume things. Rather ask, like, what is the deal here? And your schedule has clearly changed. How can we now continue our friendship and make our new schedule based on what's happening in your life?
Yeah.
But I think the bitterness thing is a real thing, hey?
Sure.
It's a very real thing. Bitterness, jealousy, feeling disgruntled, feeling like you're getting maybe a beauty of life, you're not able to experience it. And I think because the fear is getting to the end of your life and regretting,
Sure.
feeling that
Sure.
regret of maybe I shouldn't have had these standards at all. Maybe I should have at least gone with this relationship, or not been so much in Christ, or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think we feel these feelings like jealousy and bitterness because we are scared of that regret feeling.
Sure. Sure.
And I think again, you need to engage those things. Like one of my other friends, she got a job that I wanted in the acting thing, and it just affected me.
Sure.
Like, in fact, she's not even a friend. She's more like a colleague, but very close. I mean, it hurt me. I was hurt.
Sure.
And I just remember thinking, I need to tell her that, look, I'm jealous of you right now.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
I can't even really celebrate with you because like it hurts me that you are doing this and this is going to be fun, and I feel like you've taken my experience away from me. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about that was immediately I said it, I didn't even remember why I felt jealous. Do you get what I'm saying? There was that ache or that whatever that feeling was, it was just subsided, and we could talk about it, and thank God she was the type of person who received that. But I think it's also with these feelings of saying, you know what, I really want this thing that these people have.
Yeah.
Because often I look at couples and I'm like, man, I want to get married to a guy like that, and have a relationship like that. Yeah, you don't know all the ins and outs of the relationship, but you can see the quality, how he speaks, how she speaks to him, and all of that, and you want that. And knowing that you might not have that, you almost have to die to certain things. Realizing that I never had that in my 20s, I have to die to that. It's never going to happen, you know? Realizing that this might happen at 40. Like, literally, I could get married at 40, have my first child at 40. Do you get what I'm saying? It could literally happen that way. But it means in my 30s, I didn't have that, you know? So it's this thing of having to be honest with your feelings, but also honest about the fact that this thing is not in my control. You know what I'm saying? And I know people say, manifest a husband. I don't know what a husband, which is manifested would be. That would scare me. Like, I would be like, am I living with a tokoloshi or what's going on? You know? But I would be very worried.
Manifest a husband.
So I think the bitterness thing is a real thing. And you know what? I think you can go through a season where you are a bit bitter and go into another season where you feel very healed. These things are not like, it's not something that you once went through it and you might not ever go through it again, you know? But I think it's about being honest with those feelings.
Sure. It takes real maturity though to...
It does.
Like to come to that.
A lot of it. But I just always think I don't want to carry that weight. Like that, I think it's a very selfish thing. Like I don't want to carry that weight. I don't want to be heavy. I don't want to be disgruntled. I don't want to be like moving away from my friends because I feel like, oh, they're married and this person's married and whatever. So I think it's just a selfish thing of I want to be loose, you know. But it's painful. It's painful to have to deal with those feelings. And sometimes they're not dealt with. Sometimes you just ignore it and then you carry on, and then life brings you back to deal with it. So,
But the crazy part is, so now in your story, an example you gave with your friend, you went and told your friend. But I'm like, and your friend didn't even know that. And it's not like she got the job to spite you.
no,
So
and
it's
it's
just-
a good thing she
Yeah,
got
I mean,
it. Yeah.
But then you'll see how people tend to then change how they interact with married people in this case because of that. And it's like, bro, I didn't do anything to you. I was just married.
Yeah.
Like I was just being married.
Yeah.
And now you upset.
That I'm married.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But
you're not
like
even
your triggers
coming
are your
to-
problem.
That's what I'm
though.
saying. Your triggers are
are your
yours.
problem.
But you're not even coming to me to say, "Hey, I'm actually jealous of this thing." I'm like, oh, okay, we can talk about
we
this
can
stuff.
exactly. Yeah.
You know, but now I'm like, and then suddenly all your posts are like how like
Subtweeting.
married people suck, and I'm like, oh, when did this happen now? Like, why can't we just sit down and talk?
But because I feel like that, like even in our films, the best films that we love are the ones which deal with subtext, which are written well in terms of subtext.
Yes.
People, most of the stuff that we want to say, we don't say.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we've been taught that the minute you say these things, you're going to be seen as a weakling.
Yeah.
And people don't want that. You know what I'm saying? To know that I'm vulnerable like this, that you can be a jealous person or you can be a this.
Yeah.
That it's status. Your status is being taken away from you now. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And granted, you need to talk to people which are actually going to hold that space for you, because people can capitalize on the fact that you're saying, I'm jealous of what's going on here. Then they
Yeah,
show
sure.
off.
Yes.
You know, whatever. But I think we are taught from the time we grow up, don't show your truest feelings. Don't say those things. You know what I'm saying? Always act strong. Be okay. Be fine. Yeah. Even to the point where you act now like you don't want a relationship.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I love my single life, you know. Single, happy, mingling, you know.
I was thinking about how people get introduced in public settings. You know, somebody who's married, they always say, he's married or she's married to so and so. And there's probably a good reason for that. It's just that I don't think, like something happens so much in culture that we question why it happens. And we just, you know, like the next person, if you get a hosting gig and one of the speakers is married, you're just going to say that they're married.
Definitely, yeah.
And there's probably a reason, you know, because when I think, I'm like, okay, maybe in an African culture, it's because you coming with people. You know? So if you in that Lapa, you're not coming alone. You know, your wife has granted you permission to come to this thing, or if you are a wife, your husband has granted you permission to come to this thing. So we're acknowledging them in public as you come, serve us or give us whatever it is, right? And maybe that's the thing, and maybe I'm reading into it, but we don't ask that. So I'm like, I wonder if, let's say, you have a hosting gig and you're introducing Sunny, and you're like, this is Sunny, who is single.
Yeah.
How's that going to be? It's like, thanks.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when we introduce Kobedi, we'll say, and Tate Kobedi is married to Puski, you know, has 2 kids, blah, blah, blah.
Maybe you guys should start introducing us like that so we can find our husbands, or they can find us. That can be a GPS.
Maybe. But that
We can set up an online.
yeah.
No.
You had a thing, and we should
Yeah,
talk about
no,
it.
let's talk about
We
because
should- let me finish my point.
no,
and then we'll
let's
talk
not finish.
about
I'm gonna forget this.
No, I won't. I'll remember it. But the thing I was saying is, I think that kind of thinking, and especially if we don't explain it. So I gave an explanation of what I think was the reason for people to be introduced by their marital status. But I'm like, if we don't give reason for that, that also perpetuates the thinking that if you're single, like you offer lesser status, because even in public we don't acknowledge that. But we'll acknowledge somebody's marital status, you know what I mean? So I'm like...
So, but I think also, I mean, if you're saying African culture, because I think that we're transitioning into almost the era that is quite new to us, in the sense that singleness itself as a concept, I would propose that it's quite new to us.
Yeah.
Or dating. Or
You're dating, yeah?
like you are a woman who is waiting for a guy to pursue, whereas like previously it would be like arranged stuff, which brings me to my
But it's probably worth also talking about why singleness was not even.
No, but I mean,
a
like,
thing.
it wasn't an individualistic kind of approach to justice. That's a hot girl. I'm gonna pursue her. Even though there was a bit of that, I think there was a lot more, like, arranged
Bringing
things,
families.
bringing families together to say, Here's our daughter, here's our son. Let's make this thing happen."
Yeah.
Like there were less and less, I think, females who were in Setswana Mafit, or like somebody
Who's
passed
been
you
passed.
by,
You
which
see,
is such a
do you get what I'm
like
saying?
yeah.
So I think to
that's-
go with the bitterness also on the flip side, I think it's also statements like that.
Yeah.
That leave people
Yeah.
very disgruntled, you know. I was telling you the other time whereby, you know, in a family setting, thank God, not my family, but I've seen it where the single woman is not seen as mature. So she can't be part of the discussions of the married women. Or you must leave married women, you mustn't give them advice. I even know a lady who was personally in my life who was making a statement about marriage and people were giving her advice. And the advice actually that was coming her way was so solid, and most of the people which were giving her that advice were single women. And she put the statement of, I guess you can only understand if you're married. That it kind of gives that,
Yeah.
we are here. You know what I'm saying? And so I think there is actually a lot of boasting. I've seen it mainly with women, that they'll make you, I don't know if it's an insecurity with they're worried about their husbands might be cheating or whatever, but they almost make you feel like you should be jealous of what's going on here. I'm doing better than you. Do you get what I'm saying? Or it's that thing of thinking you want their husband. And it's like, again, you don't think I have a choice. This might have been your choice, but he might not be the standard for me. And he's married. So I also don't want to, you know.
Maybe your husband is not even that nice. Who says I want to?
You know? So it's kind of like, you know, it's, or that whole thing of, you know, when a couple, you know, breaks up or whatever, it's because there was a third party or whatever. And it's like, but you guys got married. The vows were here. If nobody opened the door there, this third party wouldn't have existed. You know, so I think it's all of those bubbling things which also make people very like bitter. You know, that you're given a stain when you're not, like, what did I do wrong? You know what I'm saying?
I heard somebody speak of singleness in those terms, but I don't want.
In what terms?
I don't want to bring that. Like
Say it.
So you know how we speak of like marriage as a gift, and then we would say singleness is also a gift for a season, and this dude argued that it's not. Like,
Who was this guy?
Bambingunzi.
so his argument is singleness is not a gift. So if you think of the Bible particularly, it's like there's nobody in the Bible who just like wakes up and celebrates being single. So even when Paul says that he would rather have people be single, you know, he's particularly thinking about the ministry. But I don't want us to obviously go in there. The reason why I thought about that is because of your statement and thinking of African culture, and again what Sunny just said now, that there is a sense in a culture where we and I think every culture wants to grow. You know, no culture wants to die. No people group want to be extinct.
Yeah.
So with the pursuit of wanting to grow and expand, that happens in marriage, and so we would probably prize that more because it's like, as a people, you guys who are married are adding on to this community.
Yeah.
Compared to single people where you can't have kids. Therefore, you're not adding on to, which again, I know sounds rough, but I'm trying to figure out why we would get to a point where we have, you know, introducing people by their marital status and not single people, etc. But in a society or culture that's trying to think of expansion and prize that above, not even above, but as one of their key pillars, you know, people who are doing that, then we would champion those people. But even if that's true, which I think part of it is, but even if it is true, we don't live there anymore.
Yeah,
Like
and I think also
we find ourselves in a very mixed, like we creating a new culture. So like even where we live now, like we integrated because there's some common things that bring us together, but like, you know, Joburg, we cannot celebrate you because you married and not you because you're single, because we all came together as Joburg, is to say having kids and not being extinct as Joburg is. I'm like, that's not even the values of where we're staying. But why do we even perpetuate the difference, you know? So I'm like, yes, we value marriage, we value having kids, and even the three of us. But as a collective, we didn't sit down and say that stuff. So, yeah.
I think, isn't that just like society also? Because
Yeah.
society loves status. Like
Sure,
they'll also
sure.
introduce you as Dr. Mang Mang.
Sure.
Or I don't know. They always want to like get what the best part of you seems to be. Do you get what I'm saying? And I guess what they're saying in that is that marriage could be a very good part of you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's also the thing. Marriage is good.
Yeah, it is.
It is. There's so many benefits to marriage. You know what I'm saying? And it is a celebration. You know, I'm not too sure even what we would celebrate, like being a single person. Like I was born, so like, I don't know, like what is there to like announce
That's-
because you were born,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
you're here. You know what I'm saying? Like marriage, I understand why there's that sense of saying you are this person's husband because you guys have come together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You've become one body.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's so much that's coming out of that, whereas I'm just here. You know
But
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
earlier on you mentioned like the kind of values. So the like the relationships that you have beyond just being married. That you are a sister, you are a like.
True.
There's a contribution that you make to society that surely can be celebrated. Or like you're such and such a person.
But I'm
It's-
just what
That's
I'm
a
trying to
fair
say
point,
is
yeah.
that like there's no oneness to those relationships, though.
How do you mean?
In the sense that, from what we've understood it, when you become married, you become one.
Yeah.
When my mom gives birth to me, I'm not one with her. Or maybe we haven't put it out like that. I'm not one with my sibling. I'm not one with my friend.
But you
get what I'm
still-
saying? Like, I completely understand what you're saying in terms
Yeah.
of there's something to celebrate in life. But I feel like the way we celebrate it is a bit different. Like maybe with birthdays or if you've achieved something which bonds you with
Yeah, yeah.
something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a tricky one because also then, like, is marriage an achievement?
Yeah, which I would argue not.
I don't know.
To some extent, sure. You as a guy, I'm like, to some extent, I convinced some girl, I've convinced the whole family that what, you know, I believe God has given me.
My brain is.
Anyway,
I'm restraining myself.
so I'm saying, yeah, and then even celebrating, like, you know, like, we shop at 10 years this month, and fine.
Yeah, 10 years.
So even that, I'm like, okay, there's an achievement that this thing is obviously not easy at one level. It's beautiful, it's amazing, it's good. So celebrating 10 years is, yes, you guys actually, you know, through all the storms, the ups and downs, valleys, and dons, you still.
So I mean, I do think there's a certain level of we need to celebrate that. We need
Yeah.
to honor people who've been through years and years of marriage, years and years. And I think I look at previous generations where like people have been married for like 60 years, and
bro.
like, flap, like.
But
that's
I must
twice,
say-
like a lifetime, and I think in our day and age, the things that we celebrate more are celebrity marriages that are Instagram friendly, but like they don't have the messiness and the tenacity of we've been through this for many years. So we tend to celebrate more like your mini Dlamini type of weddings and that glamorous
Yeah.
type of thing, and not so much the Ndate Mazibuko and Mema Zibuko who have been
Raised 11
through
kids.
marriage. And we don't even go to them for advice
Advice.
for
Yeah.
like how did you keep this thing going? And I think at some level we do need to acknowledge that as a society.
Yeah.
To say that those have been the pillars of marriage. Those have been the relationships that we can look up to and say, yeah, like it doesn't have to end in this age where people don't work hard for it.
Yeah.
I told certain people that this whole thing of begezela, there's a negative element to it, where,
Preach.
but
Come through.
in the sense that we don't want people to
But there's
stay
another side.
in like abusive relationships. So we shun that, but at the same time, there's sometimes the begezela.
Is
On both
there.
sides,
Yeah.
for the indota and the imfazi.
Yeah, like you need to hold on, and I don't think
Yeah.
it's a virtue that we celebrate as a culture, because we've glorified celebrity marriages.
I think also maybe the reason that we couldn't celebrate some of these relationships, what I'm seeing with our generation is healthy marriage. I'm being introduced to healthy marriage.
Yeah.
I know for
Sure.
the generations before us, there was a lot of unhealthy marriage. So you're not even too sure what you're celebrating. 20 years of being abused, 20 years of cheating, 20 years of children outside of the marriage. You know what I'm saying? So there wasn't, I think this whole marriage is not a achievement came because of that.
Yeah.
Like you're just happy that you were there, you know? And that you could say that this person is my husband. But now I think I'm understanding what the celebration is about. You know, that these two imperfect people coming together and begezeling in the right, healthy way. You know what I'm saying? That for me is an achievement. That for me is a testament of God's hand. You know, it's a testament that, you know, there had to have been a shedding of pride and this and that in that. So that's something to celebrate and look up to. But I wanted to ask you guys, like, is marriage actually as hard as they say it is? Because I've got this impression that with all this information we're getting as single people, what if you do get into the marriage and you have honeymoon phase for the next 10 years? Because they say honeymoon phase ends in the first 6 months. What if you really like the person you're with?
In this world we're
Like-
living in.
What I'm trying to say is that what if the honeymoon phase doesn't end? You know, what if you guys don't have financial issues? What if you guys genuinely get along and your fights are not as many? Like, I feel like we're given this thing that, oh, kuzoba tough, kuzoba nzima, it's gonna be hurtful and hard for the first 2 years. And it's just, you know.
I think you.
I want to say,
Yeah.
yes, honeymoon can last 10 years. But the only reason it lasts 10 years is because you work at it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So the idea of honeymoon is this whole thing that like we're not putting, which in its fundamental definition of what we mean when we speak of the honeymoon phase is that we're not putting in any work. There's just the passion that's there that's carrying us. There's a chemistry, because that's what honeymoon is. Those first 5 days of you guys being married. There's no work. There's no in-laws. There's no.
It's just the you guys.
You know, there's no chores. There's nothing. Like you wake up. Somebody makes you a bed because you're staying at a hotel or whatever place. And then you come back, you're eating your favorite food. You guys are staring into each other's eyes. Yeah, there's an ease there, right?
Yeah.
But then when you leave that place, to keep all of that,
Gang.
when all of life is coming around you to try and suck the joy out of this thing, we're going to have to put in some measures in place. We're going to have to do some work so that we maintain this honeymoon, right, for the next 10 years, 30, 50 years, or whatever the case is. But it is going to come with work.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to fall sick. So how do I still feel like we're in honeymoon phase when you can't move?
Yeah.
You're stuck in bed.
Sure.
You can't do anything, right? We can't have sex. You're there, you're sick. So how do we then think of how to maintain honeymoon? You're gonna have to work. I think a lot of what sets the tone for conversations at any point. Most likely, the loudest voice are people who are reacting to something, right? So we're reacting to a specific kind of narrative, we're reacting to a specific kind of behavior, whatever. And most people tend to live from reaction, right? So we're reacting to the previous generation's narrative of Begazeli. So then we're gonna create a new narrative.
Overcorrect it.
Right? So I'm like, even this whole thing now, where a lot of married people are coming out and saying to single people, yo man, listen, you need to work. It's because we're reacting to this Instagram married lifestyle. We're reacting to this notion that everything is just gonna be fun without any work. Reacting to this thing of thinking that, you know, I want a spouse that's gonna tick all of these boxes, and I'm like, you're not dealing with the product here, you're dealing with the real human. 10 years of marriage, 9 years of marriage has at least sobered us up to those realities. And I think the thing I'm grateful for is we got married when we were young, where most of those notions are very rooted, because you still have a very a nice view of life. You know, you haven't failed, you haven't experienced pain, and you know. So I think even getting married at that young age, and having all of these romantic ideas of what this thing is gonna be, and then marriage sobers you up, and then you realize, oh shucks, we have fun. Like me and my wife have fun. Our marriage is amazing. It's nice, but there's struggle as well.
Yeah.
And for us to even maintain that, I'm like, there is
But
gonna be
and I think
work.
just to add on that, life is work. Just life itself.
Yeah.
Even outside of being married,
Yeah.
there is no like honeymoon cruising through life. So there's a pastor who once said that two guys, marriage is like cars. They want it to work, but they don't want to work on it. And I think that's such a powerful thing to just to emphasize the point of you gotta work at it, and the joy comes in working hard at it, because when you do, you experience deeper intimacy and joy by going through those pains.
Right.
And to have a honeymoon phase that lasts 10 years, that's a fluffy relationship, because it doesn't. Because it's something you don't have to work hard at. It's, at some level, it's surface level kind of relating versus being through stuff together deepens the roots of the relationship. Fighting and overcoming the fight, it just makes you deeper and deeper as a couple. And there are those cars that will be harder to work on. That it needs more service than others because of the manufacturer's default, or that the defect, and those kind of things.
Guys, are the men listening, guys?
So
I hope the
there
gents
are other
listening.
marriages that need a lot more work than other marriages. There are other marriages that need work in certain areas than other areas. If there's been cases of like abuse in your life, that means you're gonna struggle. It's gonna be tough on the intimacy side of things than maybe others. Physiologically, some people are different. Some people have trust issues because maybe their fathers were cheating. Then they come into relationships with those issues. So they need different kinds of service. Whereas some people are just VWs that this thing
Never let you
Yo, my partner days, you just need a minor oil change, and then the thing goes. But the thing is, you gotta service it, otherwise it dies out. Somebody said nothing that you What was the saying? That things in life, whether it's marriage or a house or whatever the thing is, they tend to deteriorate without being if you don't maintain it.
That's good.
And I think the same is in relationship. The same with friendships. That who we are, if you had a friend in high school, it was much easier to relate. You had fewer issues. The older you grow, the more you have to work hard at the relationship. So the nature of life is that you need to work hard at maintaining it. I think there's a level of
That's good.
toughness that marriage is, and the more you overcome that, there's a level of joy that's deepened where and perhaps we need to speak equally about those things.
Yeah.
This thing is gonna be rough.
Yeah.
But this thing is it's gonna be your heaven
Yes.
and your hell.
Especially when you
Yeah,
say when you
yeah,
overcome
yeah,
it,
yeah.
you know, the joys that come from that.
yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know that there's overcoming.
Yes.
It's kind of like this thing of thinking, you know, we've got the whole thing of, yes, you've identified that you're hurt,
Mm-hmm.
you're going through the healing process, but we never talk about the person who's healed.
Who's healed?
Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's always you're just in the healing process. So it's always you're just fighting in marriage. It's always here, you know, just going
Yeah.
to, there's no joy after the fact that we went through what we went through.
Also, I think, drama tells best stories, so it's nicer to say, hey,
Yeah.
actually,
Exactly.
because when you come again, like, and say, yo, we're in such a good space, it sounds like
Then bitterness
ah,
grows in somebody else.
yeah. Now you
Yeah,
are
poor.
what's up with that?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
more difficult to share the joys than it is to share. And I think for me, often the desire is from countering that Instagram thing to say, guys, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not all that.
It's not that.
And there are marriages, guys, where people are just fighting every day, and I'm like, that's gonna be rough. But I think in those instances, people are fighting all the time. Not in every scenario. This doesn't apply to every scenario, but sometimes people just keep on constantly fighting, and their marriage is marked by fighting, because there's just a level of selfishness from both sides.
Can I tell you something about my car
Your car,
that relates to what you're saying?
yeah.
One day we poured. You're supposed to put a coolant in it,
Ah.
and then I'll put a cheap one from some other place in it.
Yes.
So what happened over time is that it lost the properties that made it work
efficient,
yeah,
yeah.
anti-corrosion stuff. So it rusted.
Yeah.
And right now, like to this day, we have a rust
You
problem.
deal it, yeah.
And it's like you have to
Yeah.
pour and flush and
Yeah.
work hard at those
And that's a perfect
Uh,
example
yeah.
because you were selfish. You were cheap.
No, I was.
Exactly.
No, sorry,
You
I
were-
was
you were-
frugal.
You're frugal,
Yeah.
and you're thinking about yourself. And I think that's what happens in those marriages.
Yeah.
Where the dude is constantly, as a spouse, thinking about themselves
Yeah.
and not the other person, which is the very definition of marriage. The very
Yeah.
definition of marriage is you single, you've been living for yourself, living alone. But once you get married, like Sunny is second, bro.
Yeah, like, and that scares me.
If you
I'm not
get
gonna
married to microphone is number one.
Yeah.
You second, right?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I think
Reality check.
and I think once we do that, if we don't do that rather, then we
Yeah.
constantly fight because I'm fighting for myself and I want to be the loudest voice. I want to be heard.
Yeah.
My opinions matter than yours, etc., etc., etc. And then we're constantly bashing. But the marriages where we're not trying to be frugal and be cheap, the fixing. If you fix your car and work on your car rather,
Yeah.
the working on your car gets better over the years. So it doesn't take you longer to service the car.
Amen, brother.
Right?
But the thing is, earlier on, you thinking, flip, this thing is working, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Let me not. It's
no,
fine.
like why
Yes.
should I spend 5,000 rand trying to maintain this thing?
Yes.
Going on dates, going on,
Yep.
like just listening instead of being consumed by work, really putting in the hard
Yeah.
time of
Yeah.
shush, let's relate. Because things are going well. And I think for us, it was when we got kids and it's like some of those cracks started showing.
Sure.
It's, you didn't put the right
Coolant.
and then now it's showing.
So good.
But now the damage has been done, so you gotta.
There's more work to
There's
get
more
through.
work. And there's like you're putting in a lot more work in it than if you had just
Put in a lot of
put in-
work at the beginning.
So I think that's that.
But I think that's such a helpful nugget to somebody who isn't yet married to know that start with the service from the beginning. You know, like you don't have to wait for things to go south. You know, I think that I think these are these helpful nuggets. You know, when it comes from like people which are married.
Yeah, you don't take a car to service when you hear the squeaky noise.
Yeah.
If it's supposed to go after 15,000,
But
take it after
guys,
15,000.
Ah,
After
man, if you're a
30,000,
guy,
take it after 30,000.
I know my car.
Yeah,
But here's the thing.
yeah, that's what dude said. I said, how do you know this car it has an issue? It's my car. I know it.
No, this thing.
I can
You
feel
see,
it. Joe.
this is a problem.
I could hear it.
This is a problem.
Until the wife is like, listen, I'm done. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah. We're vibing.
nicely.
Do you guys like talking though, like to your wives? Like I know you like talking to your wife, but do you like the constant talking?
What do you mean by that?
Like long-winded conversations, like hearty conversations all the time, emotional conversations.
Pastor David asked what's vulnerability in Tswana. Somebody actually answered me, both in Pedi and Zulu.
What did they say?
Huh?
What did they say?
Let me.
It was probably a made-up concept. Because sometimes you... like, it's not everyday language.
Yeah, sure.
If they did answer you...
Anyway, I'll remember, but somebody did answer.
But I want to talk about Date My Pastor.
Yes. Let's go there.
I don't know, yeah,
So
how
I
to
like.
introduce
Date
the
my
subject.
pastor.
Yes,
Is
I
a
like-
show like that? Is this a show?
It's gonna be a
It's
show.
gonna be a show.
So before we go to Date My Pastor, which is gonna be a show on this channel.
I'll be the
I'll be there.
presenter.
I'll be there. We'll be representing.
No,
So
like the uncles. Okay, no.
yeah,
Actually,
he'll explain. He'll
explain.
explain. So I dig chatting to my wife, but if you haven't checked out our episode on vulnerability, go check it out. Yeah, but it doesn't come natural for most dudes to talk at a heart level. Anyway, but to answer your question, I enjoy it, and those conversations really are part of the service, a part of what has carried our car for 9 years.
trust this to become about cars.
I love.
Since we started this podcast, there's been a jar.
Yeah, of course.
By the way,
But yeah,
here's the male masculine energy.
Yay! We brought it to the table.
yeah, I think I also enjoy meaningful chats. I think sometimes I struggle to meet my wife where she is. Like if she's excited.
Oh yeah,
it
you
takes
guys.
a long time
Yeah,
to,
you guys tend to be horrible
like, be with
that.
her in the moment. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, really? Like, she said
Yeah, feminine energy. How?
no,
That's all
feminine
common.
energy is not on par. Yeah, so I struggle. I think
You change your voice, in fact.
yeah. You lie. No, because I think really you're on the energy that they need.
I love it.
Yeah, I think it takes quality, like time away, no cell phone, just you and me. For me to really connect, whether it's on whenever we have a long trip, which doesn't happen often, or whenever we go out on a date. I think for me, that's the only time I get to truly be present.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Date My Pastor
Ding, ding, ding.
is a show that's gonna. In fact, that's why we invited you here. Simon.
why?
This was a plot.
So I think
The
we
plot
wanted
was
to
to
Guys.
introduce Date My Pastor to the
Are we all
2.5
listening?
The community.
Community.
Wait, say that again.
We were drawing you in as bait so that we can introduce.
You think we're talking about singleness? Kanti.
Kanti.
Can I say these things tend to never work when
Okay.
you link usbanban and usbanban.
Maybe
It's not that.
We're not
When it's
linking,
done
no.
wrong.
No.
No.
Explain, Muru. Taking Date
eh?
My Pastor.
Date my pastor. We're going back to the traditional ways where the elders are the ones who
Elders which are my
we
age.
have their files. I get it. Nowadays, there's a lot of snakes out there. And so we want to suss out the snakes and protect your heart from
Come on now.
engaging with the snakes. So, because we have a list here of qualities of, at any stage, different sisters and then different brothers.
Yeah.
And we see that
This-
sometimes they don't see each other.
This is not sounding cultish at all, but
No, it's not. Like it's a broader network, so you don't have to be
Hallelujah.
part of
Now,
our.
when once the word network is involved,
network
Sorry?
and family.
I just
Then you
get
stuffed.
worried.
Yeah, no, like people who know each other.
Yeah.
So, like Black has known you for many years. She knows the kind of person you are. She, did I say she?
Hey.
The feminine image.
Guys,
He's got
this thing is
files on
messy.
you, and he'll be easily able to connect you to somebody else
Dates.
and vet out the
So the
snakes.
pastor, did my pastor
But practically,
is
what happens is you come to the shoanker to say you want a husband, and then all the potential suitors need to date
who
us.
who are
Yes.
pastors though.
No.
We are your pastor.
Yes.
So then the suitors go on dates with us.
Yeah. So it's like we the family,
Like date my family,
but
but
with
you're
the
going on a
pastors.
date with your pastor.
Oh, guys, you
Yeah.
know what?
If you steal this idea,
So with the
copyright.
middlemen who kind of who like recruitment agencies.
Sure.
So all the difficult questions you wanna ask, we'll ask. All the questions about, what role a husband is supposed to play, that you feel like you can't because your feminine energy
Yes.
is not there. We'll
All the
ask.
red flags.
So imagine if you're talking about the feminine energy with this guy from Kokatsi.
Yeah.
Are you saying Mautiako Kasi they don't have?
Well, no.
How do you explain?
Oh, how do you explain
Yeah.
feminine energy?
Because Ipantul, Pelasani wants to date a Christian Pantul.
Christian Banzolo. But you can see them. You can see them. Yeah, especially those who grew up around their moms. You will be able to tell.
Urban
Yeah.
feminine.
Yeah.
Guys, I personally want to say I don't believe in that, but I know
It's a
that.
joke.
I still don't understand.
I also honestly, with what I've explained, I don't even think that's exactly it. We have to go onto social media for that. But yeah.
But Date My Pastor would be a dope show. It would be.
What would be the tagline of it?
Find love the real way.
Hey,
What?
find love the real way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't condone any of this, by the way.
Because we will see all the red flags for you before
Will you?
We will.
I feel like gents have a different relationships with each other from the women
No,
that
you
they are
know.
with.
Today's Wednesday.
You know red flags from far. You can,
What's a
some,
red flag?
No, some ladies bring guys into the community and they already like dating, and then you're like, listen, if I say to her, this one, there's red flags here, she will not listen, and it will harm our relationship. But had they, I suppose, brought him in,
Sure.
and then we kind of like, hey, what's your story?
What's her
to
going?
the guy?
Yeah.
Maybe we would have avoided that. So yeah.
From the time we go on a date with this guy to the time you marry him, less than a week.
Ach. Is that a guarantee?
See, like this is playing on a Wednesday. Let's say this was an episode of Date My Pastor. Nah?
We're gonna get fired for that.
By Thursday, we're paying Lobola. Friday.
Also, you guys are also the uncles which come to the lobola.
No, we organize the
Oh,
uncles.
okay,
But
all
Uncle
right.
Reed,
Yeah.
don't you want to be treated like a princess?
Yeah, of course.
Don't you want to be a pursuit?
Man.
Is it? So all you do is say, Baruti,
This
here's
is
the
the criteria.
Wednesday, we go on a date.
Yeah.
Thursday, we're paying Lobola.
Yeah.
Friday, we're arranging the wedding.
So we'll date like
Saturday.
like 5 dudes and then have a selection process. It's like an
Saturday.
interview.
Saturday, you walking
Agree
down
with
the
this.
aisle.
Yeah.
Sunday,
Yeah.
we're hoisting you at church.
The review.
The latest couple in town.
I can't. No, this.
From Wednesday.
Those marriages back
Yeah,
in the
no,
day
look,
lasted.
it's
I'm
so funny
telling
because
you.
me and my mom were talking about arranged marriage yesterday.
I'm telling you,
And
bro.
she was telling me about a family in Australia, the Musman family, and everybody there was
Are they Indian?
no, they were Samoan.
Okay.
And she was telling me about how most of the marriages are arranged. And what shocked me was that everybody was happy.
But that's,
You know?
that's
So I don't think it's arranged as in you just completely didn't know this person. There was
Yeah.
still an interaction, a dating, like you got to know them to a certain extent, but it's the church would present you with the best candidate for your personality.
So I think, and in as much
Please give
as
us their
this is
context.
a joke and this isn't a joke. Like I think there is a sense in which we have to save ourselves from thinking that the Western way of doing things is the way.
Go deeper.
Because there is an entire population, billions of people who are conducting marriages in that particular way, and their stuff is working. So I think we tend to live in this narrow, and not to say there's something
Isolated.
wrong with Western way,
Yeah.
but it brings with it a whole lot of issues.
Yeah. I think it's that thing of overcorrecting.
Yeah.
Because arranged marriages were seen as one thing, now we overcorrect, get rid of it, all of that stuff. That maybe we should have readjusted, maybe. And then it's for certain people. Some people just want to find their people. You know what I'm saying, by themselves.
Yes.
But I don't. Yeah.
That actually should be part of the parents' job description once you bring a child into this world.
But that
But
was
obviously,
like a
exactly.
thing even in English culture at some point, finding your daughter somebody to marry was of utmost, like that's what you needed to do as a father.
father,
And I think they were not having like singleness conversations because it wasn't like the pressure wasn't on the individual. I think we are now living in a space where the pressure is on me. Am I not good enough or whatever? Whereas before it was like, this is the family I came from. If I didn't get married, it's because of my family, not so much like there's something wrong with me. So the overemphasis on self can be crashing at a certain level. And for us to just even pause and realize that, hey, this is the culture that we've embraced, and these are the things that come with this culture. Is a step in the right direction.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We believe in arranged marriages. Anyway.
Like I'm on
the married people which found their people by themselves. But anyway.
That's wrong. If we would correct it, we'd go back in time and arrange this thing. But anyway, shout outs to you, Sune, for pulling through. Our conversation, guys, is not over. I think, I just want to do this singleness series where we kind of explore more. 'Cause again, like a bunch of you watch the stuff as single, and there is a lot of benefit that you get from our stories, but we also want to know about your story and where you at, and how married people can, understand that we can stop this friction that's there. However, whoever created it, right?
And also no sliding into DMs, guys.
Please.
Can we just stop that?
No, but
I've
with her,
had some married people from
No, with
sliding.
he. Slide in with full
sentence.
State your
sentences,
intentions.
and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not hi.
We will have Sunny's
hi,
handle
Okasa,
somewhere and her address and her telephone number if you
But
want
you can slide.
Wow.
No, I think they can send messages to us.
to the pastor.
Yes.
And then
Yes, I'm condoning that.
Yes.
Thank you.
It starts.
We'll link you up. All right. 2.5 Ben. We'll appreciate you guys. See you on the
Thank you
flip
so
side.
much,
all right?
guys. This was dope.
Thank you. Peace.